Allow yourself to be wrapped in the arms and the love of that grid, that non-physical, magnetic, crystalline, spiritual grid. And as we share that together, the pulsation of Gaia increases, and her light and her love pulses through us, beams out through us, like a light that can be seen from space. We create this energy together. We raise our vibrations together so that we are ready to receive the beautiful, loving information, the guidance for the year 2014 that Kryon has called the year of divinity and the year of celebration.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. And so we're back. And it seemed like only a moment ago we said to you to open your hearts and expect different kinds of messages, different attributes of the time that are coming this year. My partner steps aside. And when I say that, that means that he is here and he is listening to every word. He's using the intuition through his pineal that what is being presented is accurate and true from a source that he trusts. It's his way of validating what is presented all of these years. This has been his process. And even this begins to recalibrate. Dear human being, we have told you that you have walked through a year of difficulty for some, for many. Now, as we present this information, we are aware of the listenership and eventually the readership. And that there are those who will be listening to this. For them, it is live. It is now. Because it is their first listen or their first read. And it may be months after the clock of reality strikes your ears. That is to say that I speak to the entire group in a timeline that is not linear. And it's great. The numbers are far larger than you would think of those who might be drawn to this message. To hear, perhaps, what is in store this year for them. We do not have prophecy. Instead, we have potential. We see a bigger picture of the kinds of things which are moving in certain directions, an overview that is given to us through over 7 billion souls, all working on both sides of the veil at some level, to achieve change that you may not expect. And the first things I want to say out of my mouth is that change is slow. And so this is not a marker that will become 2014 the year of transformation or the year of significant change. It is the beginning. It is the beginning of the harvest of seeds which were planted in 2012. And the harvest itself is slow. One plant at a time, one life at a time. And so we want you to keep in mind that these things, again, not generic for all, but an average overall for old souls, you're going to experience some shifts like I'm going to talk about now. First, what does it feel like today for you? Do you feel the shift in energy? We invite you to. No matter who's listening or reading, we invite you to feel what is there. There has been a shift in the energy on this planet from 2013 to 2014. It didn't happen in a moment. But the shift is there. It's like a light is being turned on in the darkness. Like there is an awareness that was not there before. Gives you hope. A word we told you not to use. Let's talk about what you're in for, however. Let us say, for an example, that you had an accident and it affects somehow your ability to walk. And let us say that you had a successful repair of the accident. And that was 2013, called the accident. Now the successful repair has been accomplished. What is next? And it's called physical therapy. Is it pleasant? It can be. Because every step you take is a step that you could not before now. Every step is better than the next. Is it uncomfortable? It could be. When a child learns to walk, and intuitively they're remembering the Akash of walking before, they still are uncoordinated with the new tools, and they fall down occasionally. Have you ever climbed a lot of stairs? I mean a lot of stairs. And you get to the top, and you realize you're sore. You've used muscles you haven't used in the past. And you are so glad the stairs are over with and done. Never realizing you're going to have to climb down again. And then when you do, you realize there's other muscles that are hurting just as much going down as coming up. What we're trying to tell you is that there is work to be done, and it might feel awkward. And that is the word we want to use. Not painful, not difficult, not really. Awkward. As you test the waters, old soul, of new paradigms of belief, we ask you to trust synchronicity more than ever before. We ask you to trust intuitive thought more than ever before. We ask you to stand your ground in intuition more than ever before. To know the appropriateness of turning the other cheek and at the same time holding the truth of the love of God. A truth that we said to you would be seen by others as strength and not weakness. And that is the shift. It's the perception of what is going on by those who are not aware of what you are aware of. So this means that the earth is involved in the kind of awareness, even though they may not believe in channeling or anything that's happening. But they all feel shift. Sometimes it's frightening to those who don't know what's happening. Can you imagine being frightened because things are going ways you didn't expect them to go? The normal of life is shifting around. Can you imagine that kind of fear for your neighbors and your friends and your associates or your family when they see things around them that they didn't want to see, or energies that were shifting that may actually threaten their survival, and the only stable thing they have got is you. And when they see not just stability, they see peace. What do you think they're going to do? The first thing is they're going to forget everything they said that hurt you. They're going to cling to your coattails because they want a piece of what you got. I am telling you the truth. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually they will see strength in the centering that you bring. If you're not spinning in drama, if you're not spinning in fear, and yet around you are changes because you are aware of what they are, that's strength. We told you the old ways of the planet were starting to shift. Things out of integrity are going to start to fail more often than not. Those who have featured greed in all of the things that they have done are going to start to fail. Greed used to be a survival instinct in the cave era of the development and evolution of humanity. It is no longer a survival aspect in the new energy. Greed is old, and it's ugly, and it's dark. And humanity begin to see it for what it is. It's not going to be a tool that works. It just isn't. Therefore, there are businesses on the planet making a living with greed who are not going to survive. And you're going to see this soon. It is not a survival aspect. In fact, it's going to be an energy that's going to bring about the opposite. You will see it, you will know it, you will not go for it. And that brings me to some of the other things that are going to shift dramatically over time and will fly in the face of every paradigm that exists. Your normality has to do with you leaving this building, getting in your auto, going home. Some of you going to work, some of you doing metaphysical healing work, some of you reporting to factories and schools and hospitals. I know who's here. What if I told you that every single one of those is going to change? And eventually the paradigm that lets them run smoothly won't work unless changes are put in place. There come a time when those who run governments and run businesses will wring their hands and say, what is it that we're doing wrong? When these things used to work time after time after time, called human nature, and suddenly they're not. What are we doing wrong? And there's going to be a paradigm of a model of a human being who sits in peace, centered in the love of God, that they will see. And it's going to be all over the planet because old souls are in every single place you can imagine. Some of them will come to a meeting like this because they don't want their face to be known, but they are on board with this. And some of them are in the strangest places you might imagine who will hear this, and I'm speaking to them now, and they know I'm right because they can see it coming too. And so I'm going to cover just certain elements. And I'm not going to give a prophecy. I'm going to give a reality of potential. Some of these you have heard before, but not necessarily in this detail. And so I'll start with the church. Dear ones, if you are leaders in any one of the religions on this planet, I have a message for you, and it goes like this. First of all, congratulations for your work for humanity. If you're working with the love of God and that is your purpose, you're doing the work of God. And the various cultures will respond differently to the various things that you would have, and that is the difference of humanity. The love of God is in every single place you can look. It's in the synagogues and in the mosques. It's in the churches. Healings occur in all of them. You're at the right place at the right time to make change. And here are your instructions. Spiritual leader, religious leader, follow the common sense of God. Examine that which you would call the rules of your organization or your doctrine and weigh them against the love of God. If you've portrayed God in fear or in judgment, or you've made the other person wrong because they don't worship in the right place, re-examine this in the light of the love of God within yourself and make the shift. And here's what we're going to tell you. If you don't, you're going to lose the following you have taken for granted. Simple. Simple. And it's easy to measure. How many men and women are signing up to be like you? Priest? Imam? Rabbi? How many? How many young people in the ranks can hardly wait to be like you? And if you're seeing a slowdown of the interest to be a leader in your group, you're doing something wrong. Why wait until it all dries up and evaporates and you're in trouble? Why not now? Weigh these things in the light of the love that you feel yourself that brought you there to begin with. To lead other human beings and show them the light that's there. All of you. That's one group. It's an important group. We've told you before that old survival techniques create separation. And in religious circles, separation has been part of the old survival energy. What if I told you that the opposite will keep your church alive? Compassion for the other group. Not that they're doing it wrong. Compassion that they're doing it differently. And seeing the love of God in them as well as you and letting it be. That's spiritual evolution. We told you that is the key. Look for it. Businessmen and women. We want to talk to you about old paradigms and new paradigms and what the public is going to accept and reject. Every single businessman and woman who is listening to this particular channeling, who is a CEO, a CFO, or in charge of large groups of people, listen up. Your existence depends upon you selling something. And you know that. And there are old attributes of selling something. There's a structure that removes you from the consumer. I want to tell you something. That is about to crumble. Let me just get right to it. The CEO who makes it public that they're going to tie their salary to performance of the corporation is going to have success. The good old boys club, who moves around from corporation to corporation as CEO, getting enormous bonuses no matter what happens, and feeling free to fire those because they're not doing well, and still taking the bonuses, are out of integrity, and it's not going to work because the public will not buy your product. How's that? How does it feel to you? It's a shift of a paradigm because the consumer is going to start to look at your salary. It's going to be common knowledge, and I will tell you, business owner, that if you'll make it public what you're doing and you will tie in your salary to the success of the corporation and have everybody included, the products you sell will be revered. Human beings will make choices, not out of a human nature that they did in the past or even on the merits of your product, but more about the consciousness that you created in competing with others around you. Watch for it. It's going to happen. Feel free to advertise it. That you have decided to do something. Integrity and common sense in business, which aligns itself very, very well with what regular human beings would expect of a leader, of a group of people making a product. There are those who would say that businesses should all fail and everything should be given away. Perhaps a day will come when those kinds of things are possible, but not in this energy, not yet. So take the structures you have and repair them. And repair them with compassionate action and see where they evolve from there. Who's next? Politician, I want you to listen to me. I have instructions and you're going to disagree, and if you're hearing this and you're a politician, you will say to me, no way. It's not going to work. I'll tell you why you'll say that, because traditionally, you're right. In an old survival energy, the way you have politicked has worked. And not anymore. And you're going to see this come about. I want to ask you, politician, as you run against an opponent, what is your strategy? What has worked before, and what do your advisors tell you? And here are my instructions for you. You're going to have to override your advisors. And you're going to have to do it soon. Because your advisors are steeped in the old ways of human nature awareness. And they will be blindsided, and you're going to lose if you do not follow these instructions for the future. And here they are. No more negative campaigning ever. If you're attacked by an opponent, do not return the attack. Instead, you can defend through the facts and that which holds integrity. Without an angry face. Without an angry face. Never returning the attack. I would like to tell you what the new human nature is going to see between the two opponents. Balance and unbalance. One is attacking. The bully. The other one is holding their ground in integrity without an angry face and just stating the fact, the reasons why you should vote for them. Giving the facts, giving a positive attitude, never showing that which you even may feel is a wounding of the heart from that which is a dark attack, and you never return it. Old traditional thought would say you're going to lose because the public will only remember the drama. And that, my friend, is going to change. What they're going to see and remember is your balance. And that is the leadership they're going to want. They're not going to want an angry, ugly, attacking politician. They want a balanced one with integrity and gentleness into these offices that will make a difference and will be able to compromise and move things forward in a society. Does that make sense? I'm hearing your response. That's not going to work, Kryon. Well, I hope you're not on the receiving side of my advice and your opponent takes it and you don't. It'll be too late and you'll know I'm right. You see, human beings are becoming more aware. There is a factor of honesty, transparency, and integrity that they are starting to accomplish within their own human nature, and they're going to start being disgusted by attacking politicians. They will see them as spoiled children, having arguments. The one who will stand out is the one who does not return the attack and holds their own. Gentleness, appropriateness, strength, and balance. Now, the next one you're not going to understand. And it's a very finite message I'm going to give to a very, very few human beings on the planet. And you may think when I tell you who I'm talking to that none of these will ever hear this message, and that's where you're going to be wrong. Because I know the potential who is listening and what their ears are going to hear. It may even be socially inappropriate, what I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to ask my partner to go slow so that the mail he receives will be to a minimum. I want to talk to dictators. And there are a few. There is actually a place on the planet for dictators. And the reason is because there are certain cultures that are not yet ready for the sophistication of modern democracy. And that it will take them a number of years before even the concepts of making these kinds of choices are clear, because they've been under fear dictatorship rules for so many generations. And so there is an appropriateness of a leader who is in charge of everything. Now that flies in the face of social appropriateness. Dictators. I want to tell you something that I've said before, only marginally, but I'm going to tell it to all of you. You have an opportunity to lead your people into abundance and be the most revered and loved and admired person in your country. And even after you're gone, the statues of you will be looked at and people will weep at the feet of it. If you do it right. There is a protocol for benevolent dictatorship on the planet, and you can study it. Men and women who were in charge totally of their populations and loved them and created for them savings accounts, willing to give them things, property and land, make them work for it, have a system where everybody benefited, let them travel freely. They always come home because it's better at home. Believe it or not, there is a protocol for that. A protocol for opening borders. Being seen as the peacemaker, as the gentle, benevolent dictator who loves his people for life. Dictators, listen, if you're doing it through fear and control, your days are numbered. They just are. And if you don't believe me, I want you to look around the planet right now, the countries who are in trouble, and that is why. They have populations who are awakening to it. If it's done through strength, force, fear, your days are numbered. Right now, the strife on the planet in the various countries you didn't expect it to be is because of that. If people see in you the benevolence that you could have for them and not the fear, if you rule through benevolence and balance and love, they're not going to want to leave. They're going to see you as the Father. And they're going to love you. You have an opportunity to switch this and still hold that which you dearly want to hold, which is that of being respected. What can you give your people you haven't thought of? I want you to study how it's done. If you don't, you won't remain. It's not a prophecy. This is a potential that's probably going to happen. There can be 2 of you who are demised this year. 2. And you don't think so, do you, as you're listening to this? You think everything is fine, don't you? Why don't you ask the leaders who are going through it right now if they thought it was fine the moment before they were deposed or their people rose up in anger and now they're in trouble. Now is your opportunity, and 2014 is the time you can start the change. And you might say, you're wrong, Kryon. My lineage is set, and the lineage before me and my father's are the same, and I'll be just fine. And I'm going to say, no, you won't. Because those around you are going to have a different awareness, and that which you think works is going to change. And those are the groups I wanted to talk to. Specifically, those are the groups. The potentials on the planet that I have just given you revolve around what? Awareness of human nature changing. And it's not just where I sit in the United States. It's everywhere. This is planetary. There's going to be difficulty in areas that you didn't expect because of this, and it's coming soon. Human awareness that is starting to shift away from the old energy is going to be so available to see light instead of wallowing in darkness. And so the last part of this channel, I return to the old soul. And I'm going to ask you, how are you today? You ought to be able to get through this without fear, without anxiety, without waking up at 3 in the morning and wondering if you're going to make it. I know who's here. I know who I'm talking to. There's an appropriateness in every single template of DNA in every single soul that I know in this room, listening to my voice and reading these words. There's a time for life. There's a time for the next life. There's a time for transition. And you're so different. Every single one of you has your own path. But here's what I can tell you. We know who you are. And all we want is for you to take the hand of God and start to enhance yourself, to live longer, and be here to work this puzzle. And there's some, even in this room, and listening to my voice, to say, well, that wouldn't be me, because I'm not going to be here that long, or I'm not going to come back, or I'm not, and I've heard it. And yet the magnificence of your soul yells otherwise. And it's time for you to listen up. You're beloved. You deserve to be here. Maybe it's time for you to be with people who support you instead of drag you down. And you also know who I'm talking to, dear ones. That's standing up for yourself. That's being in the love of God. That's courageous. You're going to have support. Are you going to have to move out? Yeah, you know who I'm talking to. Are you going to have to move away from perhaps your city or your circumstances? Maybe. But you'll have support, and you're not alone, and you're not in a vacuum, because we are with you. We are with you. We are with you. Time to change the paradigm. This is the year to begin. Divinity is the operative word because you are discovering it within. The more you see your divine self and are aware of the strength that you carry through compassion, the clearer your life will be and the longer you will live. Could it be any clearer? Now go and do. And be. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. It has been mentioned that there are those who are unseen that know who you are, who are here. And I mean here. If you're a visitor listening to this later, here means here for you as well. This is a sacred space that you have decided to listen to. And if you continue listening, all of the energies that are in this room at the moment are yours as well. Humans, everyone, respected, honored, everyone. There is an entourage that doesn't just accompany me. It's an entourage that is developed from the various soul energies in the room. An entourage that comes to watch, honor, sometimes seemingly sit in your lap, knock on your nose, just to say, we're here, we're here, we're here. Years ago I said it, you're never alone. We mean this. It's impossible. Because of the system that is spiritual. The system, if you wish, of God. You come to a place and you finally understand and realize, number one, you're part of the system. Number two, you're here temporarily. This soul journeying that you do, you're here temporarily until the next journey in the next life, same soul. And so, dear ones, we're looking at ancients among you. And there is so much honor that you made it, that you've come, that you're here. Inside you, human being, right now, there is an active record of everything you've ever done on this planet. Everything. It lands eventually in your DNA. As you reincarnate, the last lifetime is then included, and you come in with that, fresh. Everything that you have ever experienced is there. And as we've taught before, it's not a linear representation as you would get in a book. The Akashic record is not about the activities of a human. It's about the energies. What was it like for you? Short lifetimes, long ones, various places of the planet, different cultures, different faces, different languages, different food. What was it like to be in the wars, to be a warrior and kill others, to be on the battlefield and be killed? All of you were. All of you. What's it like to be drowned? So many of you were. What's it like to lose children? And you would say that must be awful. It is. It still is. But when you come into a planet where every other child lives, you don't even name them till they're 3 months old. What's it like? What's it like to wake up and realize that you have information as an old soul that goes against that which is taught about God? Do you shut up or do you not? What's it like to be ostracized away from anyone else in the village, to live alone and only be kept alive because you have the magic, they think, because you have the intuition to keep them alive, perhaps some potions, some information from Gaia, the earth, to heal those around you? This is your life. This is who I talk to, old soul. What's it like for me to tell you there are civilizations you lived in you have no idea about? And yet your Akash carries them all. And the information that is in this multidimensional space of storage within every single human listening now, that information is profound with energy. What kind of energy is it? Well, it's remembered things. We've talked about this before. We've said the difference between the Akashic Records reaction and what it means 10 years ago and today is vastly different. That's what's changing. In an older energy, the Akashic Record comes up and it then gives you information of remembrance, and sometimes it's difficult. Why would that be? Kryon, why is the Akash so disturbing to some that we have to have readers help us to dismiss certain things in our memory? Keeps us awake at night. It's difficult to work with. Why would that be? What kind of a system does that? And here's the answer. It's a system of free choice. As goes the consciousness of the human being, goes the consciousness of remembrance of the Akash. You remember dramatic things. Things that go bump in the night. Things that you don't want to remember. Feelings you can't explain. That's been the way of it. Until now. Last week we gave you information and exercise, words if you wish, and reminded you of the power you have over your own body, and in this energy, the appropriateness of reframing the Akash. Demanding in your own words that the Akash stop remembering the negativity and the drama and start remembering the beauty. Remembering the good times. What it felt like for all of you as a woman to give birth. What it felt like for all of you as a man to watch it. The pride, the joy, the overwhelming beauty, the benevolence. It's there. It's all there. To command your Akash to stop with the old energy programs, the tapes that play, and instead give you something you didn't expect. Beautiful memories. It changes that residual buzzing in the background. We told you that. Now, where does it go from here? It may seem like we're going to skip around, but I'm going to tell you what has happened to the Akash, what it became. Now, the Akash has never changed, but human beings saw it and rewrote the rules. I'll tell you about that. So you have a bit of an understanding about the buzz that some of you have. But not before an update. There are those listening to this now who were there last week. There are those who not only participated in the exercise, but will listen to the channel and participate again. Those who have never heard of it will hear it the first time and participate. There will be thousands who will participate. There will be some who feel something, as I said. There will be some who don't. Because timing is everything. You are unique on this planet. There is never a time when we give you information of one esoteric pill does one thing for everybody. Doesn't. It doesn't. Some of you must work at it and work into it, must do it a number of times if you wish. Although I'll tell you, the body hears it the first time. Oh, it hears it. Hears it and starts working on it, even though you don't think it does. Here's an update. There are some of you, not necessarily in this audience, but the ones hearing me now, who've had some interesting dreams all of a sudden. A dream that would put you back into circumstances that were uncomfortable. Circumstances that made you less than. Putting you back into a time when there was betrayal. Putting you back into uncomfortable work situations or things that happen. And you're put back in the dream, and there they are happening again. And you wake up in the morning and you'll say, this isn't really what I had hoped for. And now I have what they call a bad taste in my mouth for the whole day because that dream was so real. I didn't need to go back and feel that all again. Oh, yes, you did. And here's why, because that was your closure. You had to go back. You had to look it in the face. Sometimes there are things you never wanted to look at. Some of you are not done yet. This is the Akashic record at its best. It's the Akashic record for this lifetime at its best. Things that have happened to you that you go back and revisit. In the Akash, a drowning, a death, Or a time perhaps on the battlefield where you took a life and it stuck with you for ages, and suddenly here comes the dream and you just feel awful. You'll say, I just killed somebody and I feel it all over. It's the worst thing that ever happened to me. I couldn't do that, but I did it. I can feel it. Or I was just killed. Or I drowned. Whatever it was. And you'll wonder, what is the appropriateness of that? I'll tell you, it's a closure. It means it's gone. That's what it means. And if you're one who had one of those dreams, congratulations. It's working. Do you see how this works? It's working. You have to go there because you didn't want to face it. Even in a dream. You have to go there and be uncomfortable for a moment in a dream. Doesn't hurt you. But for those moments, the Akash is working with you to say, in order to dismiss this, you got to look at it. And you are. Many of you. And in the looking at it, there is full and complete clearing. It's not coming back. Not coming back. This is the power you have today, and we talked about it last week. I want to talk about the Akash. It's beautiful. What a system. It's a system of remembrance. Can you imagine opening an Akashic book with one page? One page is everything you've ever done. Because it's multidimensional, the one page is thousands of volumes of energy that are multidimensional. They come flying out. They go all over the walls and the ceiling. They're not in order. They don't have to be. And you look at the ones that are different colors because they have different energies. Can you imagine going back and seeing who you were, what you've accomplished? Do you think that there's a measurement in the Akashic record, not of horror, but of beauty? Do you think there's a measurement of wisdom? How much did you learn? And how would you like to have that presented to you today? So that you can walk from place to place and not make the same mistakes. So you can know when someone's telling you the truth. When you can feel when you get up in the morning a benevolence that says, this is a good day. It's a good day because I'm here. It's a good day because the sacredness in me sees the sacredness in Gaia. It's a good day because I know my ancestors. It's a good day because those who interface with me today will also feel it. And it may be as simple as you and your children. They'll feel it. You and somebody at work, they'll feel it. This is the difference between human beings who are always affected by the noise, the buzz, that in the Akash, which is always there, that has always kept you away from the magnificence that you deserve. And we dealt with it last week. I'll tell you what happened in history. The Akashic record has been with you since the seeding of the Pleiadians. When you started receiving the sacred information from the very, very top, either original or you got it from an ancestor. And you started to awaken with spiritual knowledge. The old souls of this planet have always had it. You are the ones that hold this information. It's beautiful. And it's simple. You came from the stars. You came from that which is God. You're seen by God as beautiful. And the God that you were introduced to, the Spirit, if you wish, the creative source, if you wish, was so far above any consciousness that you have ever seen on this planet that you can't describe it. Pure love. Pure love. Shining brighter than anything you can ever imagine. All it is pure love and compassion. So beautiful that when you return to the other side of the veil, you're part of it. You wash in the beauty of the song that plays that makes your heart sing with it. That's God. I can't even give you anything bigger. You wouldn't see it. You wouldn't understand it. That's God. Human beings began to evolve systems started. One of the first systems in this civilization you call Hinduism. We have spoken of this even in India, where we, for the first time, revealed things. This was the original system approach, later becoming that with Buddha. But it featured something. The Hindu system was profitless, right to the source. You didn't go through anyone. Nobody had to do anything. There was an acknowledgement of oneness with everything. There still is today. But the Akashic record developed into something different. Enter karma. Karma is a direct derivative of the Akashic energy. Things that happen to you that then lay energy in certain ways that invite you to clear them. And the system would invite you to clean up that which you didn't want and work with other entities of Hinduism that would help you clear negativity to the point where you did not have the karma anymore. You could clear it. You could go to a place where you were in full enlightenment because you did not have any more karma. Now, dear ones, do you find that interesting that that's exactly what we did last week? It was a system of clearing the Akash. It is there yet today. When I arrived, one of the first things I taught you is that karma worked then, it's no longer needed. You don't have to remember any of these things. It's automatic karmic clearing is automatic Akashic clearing. We told you, you don't need to be pushed around by any energies. At this point in your life, in the spiritual system, karma is no longer needed. That's controversial. But look at who you are today. You're coming in with full knowledge. You don't need things to push and pull you around to learn lessons. You're beyond that. And you come in clean, ready to go to work with that bracelet on we talked about this morning. You've got other things to do besides work with karma. Even this day, there are those who say, what do I do about the karma? Even after I've said, you don't have it. You don't have to worry about it. There are those who will argue. I want you just to look at yourself, say, do I need it? Really? At this point in my spirituality as an old soul in this new energy, does it hurt me or help me? Does it hinder my path? Does it enhance me? You make up your own mind. Don't you find it interesting that it was converted into a system that then became karmic? So what happens next is really, really interesting. Because now certain systems, over thousands of years, begin to morph the whole idea. I want to introduce you to the human concept of sin. Now you have something where you start humanizing the system. Humanizing is the word we mean that you reduce all of the parts of the system to fit within what you are, to be that which is human nature. As long ago as you wish, as the Greeks, before sin, they made their gods dysfunctional in order for the mythology of punishment to start. That then graduates and graduates, and finally you have a God who looks at you and judges you for your behavior. Sin is supposed to be defined as anything that displeases God. And I have something to tell you that you may or may not grasp at this point. God is not a human. There is nothing like displeasing, pleasing with the creative source of the universe. It's pure love. It doesn't think like you do. It doesn't have the constructs like you do. There is not even the beginning of a consciousness that would even be close to what you have. Not even close. And yet, you have developed a system, a beautiful love of God, and at the same time, you've made God a bad father. Would any of you take a child, no matter what they've done, and throw them into a place where they're going to be burned alive for eternity? Which one of you parents will raise your hand and say, well, yeah, they've done some bad stuff, that's what they deserve? And there's not one of you. There's not one of you. And yet you place that on the creative source. Yep, that sure is the way God works, you say. No, it isn't. The entire construct of sin and punishment developed completely and totally from the human mind. A human being's construct put upon the Almighty, creator of the universe. Does not work that way. There were no wars in heaven. And all of this literally coming from the Akashic record. Because the Akashic record has certain energies that when you morph these systems will create guilt. Now you are sorry for what you did that you feel in your Akashic record. It's getting worse, isn't it? Now you sit there and you don't know what to think. If God is real, is God displeased with who I am? I had a dream the other night. I'm not sure what it means, but I'm quite sure I did something wrong. That's why I had the dream. I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'm not doing this or that right or wrong. Never understanding at that moment in time. This is a derivative of that which is your Akashic record. The energies of your record literally were then converted into karma, then converted into sin and punishment. All these same reactions and feelings then getting lower and lower in a consciousness state to bring you to your knees, human being, where you're afraid of God. Afraid. There's an oxymoron here. It doesn't even make sense that you would bring yourself to a place where you would fear that which was inside you, which is the most benevolent, gorgeous, loving thing that ever could be there. Talked into it, trained into it. This may offend some. That is not the purpose. The purpose is to reveal and enlighten, to open the box, to unseal a grander truth, that there is no judgment. The God that created you out of love. Where is it going next? What's going to happen? Revelation on the planet? Compassion is coming? Reframing and rewriting some of these things that I've just told you. That's what's going to happen. I know this because I've seen it before. I bring you this history to show you where this has come from, what has become it. These wonderful secrets that you had, literally, as a Lemurian, some of you, from the original teaching wheel, had to go underground, not be taught, only be kept. Secret societies you think today are conspiracies. They're only ones who have kept the secrets of what you learned in Lemuria. And in this new energy, they're starting to pop out. You're going to see organizations start to reveal what they know, and they're going to be Metaphysics 101. You're going to start creating organizations yourself to teach these things openly, not in secret. And I remind you, it's one of the first times you've been able to do this without something coming after you or being shut down or worse. There are some who are still afraid to come out of the closet. Closet light workers. They don't want to come out of the closet because the last time they did it was awful. And now it won't be. Now I'm going to give you another concept just to make it really confusing. If you're going to become a bit more multidimensional, dear ones, you're going to now have to deal with a different kind of attribute in your Akash. Stand by. So let me reveal, again, the summary, that in this new energy, as bad as it has become, the systems that gave you these things will start to be more enlightened in their approach. They will start to see that it's not commensurate with the love they teach. There will be a lightening of the load. Rules will change slightly, as they have over the eons and decades. It'll start happening again. There will be a return to one of the original ideas that God is inside of every single human. And the respect of that will be seen as primary, no matter who they are or what they believe. That's what they'll have in common. This starts a world that will pull itself out of where they are and have no more war. That's the summary. Now let me tell you something you need to deal with. There is the idea, this train of time you're on is going to create a train which is completely then enlightened, beautiful, clean, clear, ready to move forward in the light with brand new information. Now here, I'm going to tell you something, because there will be those who will ask this later when that doesn't happen for them. This is accelerated, advanced information about your Akashic record that you will have to deal with in the ways that you will have presented to you, and also we will talk about in the future. Time is in a circle. Always has been. Time is in a circle. Imagine a railroad track. You are on that track as a train, as a human being, a human train, and you are chugging along on that train. You can go as fast as you or slow as you want, but the train doesn't back up. It always goes into the future. That track is always ahead of you, and what's behind you is what you've done. Now that's how you see it. Now I want you to add a little wrinkle to that. That track goes all around the planet. Forget for a moment that you can't put a track on the ocean. Just pretend. And then that means that eventually your future becomes your past. Are you with me so far? Because you're going to start running over the same track in front of you that is your past. And what is it exactly in your past? It's etched in stone in your Akashic record. And whether it includes one civilization or two, it doesn't matter. The concept is this: you're going to meet your Akash in the future. Some of you won't understand what it is and consider that everything you've done has failed, because here it is again. Others of you will recognize that, aha, this is a fractal in time. It is laying on the track because the track remembers what happened. And instead of me absorbing it and taking it on and having to do all this again, we're going to clear it as we go. We're going to expect it to be there. And we're going to see it, and we're going to clear it before it ever shows up. Is this too complex? As my partner explained it as I've given it to him, these are the questions that only the future will answer. I've just given you something that's valuable so you won't think you failed, dear ones. Because those of you who have cleared and gone to this place where you say, my Akash is no longer there to irritate me and the benevolence is only there, and suddenly there's something negative. This is the 3D human in the past who will say, see, it didn't work. Then you reveal you didn't expect it to work. Then you reveal, and then you reveal. State of mind, how much you cognize these ideas. I'm telling you that there are things on the track in front of you for you and the planet and all these things that will appear, and you will think it's a return to the past, and it isn't. It's something that you're going to have to look at and say, I recognize this. This is old energy. Get away from me. You're not going to go through this again. Give it a name. Put it away. That's coming because you are now covering the same track again, that laid those eggs of the Akash that you cleared. Will there come a time, Kryon, when we can clear all of the Akash, including what's on the front of the train? That's an Akashic clearing that would be past, present, and future. That is more complicated. And that's the next step. I'm telling you about this so you won't be surprised. There will be coming processes to help you. But as you understand it, when it comes at you, you won't be confused. You won't think you did something wrong. You won't go back into guilt. And you'll look at it and go, Kryon said it was here. And here it is. And you can laugh. Because it'll disappear as soon as you recognize what it is. It's a past karma that's in front of your train that you cleared. Therefore, it's a phantom. We'll even give it a name. Beware of phantom karma. Beware of phantom Akash. All of that from your past might show up. Just remember this time and call it what it is. This is a complex channel. It's something that you may want to listen to. It's something that you may want to revisit, just to hear these words. I'm about ready to close. Those invisible ones are still here. I want you to feel them for just a moment, and such congratulations to you. If they could put their arms around you, you could feel it. You'd feel so much love. He did it. And they would give you a message and say, don't fear the future. They'd give you a message that say, cast the old fears away. They're not going to come back. It's a brand new path. One that you've never trod before. One without predictions. You're going to lay the track that's never been laid before. That's what it's like. These are the things I have for this day. These are the things for you. And so it is. For in the Milky Way, you have what you have called the seven sisters. 7 stars, one of whom has a planetary arrangement around it. And you have called this arrangement and those coming from it the Pleiadians. And these are the ones who visited Earth 100,000 years ago, and it didn't take them very long to get here. And the reason it did not is because this is a race that is quantum. That is to say, there is no time, there is no space, there is no distance. They willed themselves here and they appeared. It is an advanced race that is spiritual. It is graduate in nature. It is mature. It is beautiful. All of these things on purpose, and those who came changed the DNA of one kind of human being of the 17. They stayed for as long as it took. You should know that this took over 1,000 years. Slowly, all of the other kinds of human beings dropped away. Only one was left, the kind that was changed. The DNA was being altered. And this is the creation story, given to you on purpose in a beautiful way by Spirit. It was an anointed time. And I would like to tell you, souls who are here, long before Lemuria, when you looked upon this and you saw it and you knew it was good. The Pleiadian brothers and sisters look like you. They do not have lizard skins. They do not have... literally, spiritually, was born. It's controversial. And those listening now don't have to believe this. It is not critical to having your light shine on earth for this to be understood, but it is the truth. And if you wish to know where the seed biology came from, I just gave you that. But there are still those who wish to go with the mythology that God came and all at once presented a system to the planet. They would rather go with that. As my partner says, they like the talking snake story. But that's not how it worked. Slowly, the first civilization on the planet was born. And it was called Lemuria. And it was not an advanced civilization in the way you think advanced. But they had something you should know about. Their DNA was at 90%. Not 30. All the quantumness of their DNA was activated, for that is what the Pleiadians passed to them. The oldest civilization on the planet, the one that was the most long-lasting, that never had a war, was Lemuria. Broken up only because the oceans of the sea rose. They became seafaring as they had to be and always were, and moved to the edge of the Pacific Rim. They were the original society on the planet. They were the beginning. On the top of the mountain of the biggest island of Hawaii is where the canoes are buried. And they will tell you that in the lineage of Hawaii. The Pleiadians came there. That's where they landed first. That's where they began their work. Lemuria celebrated that, for they knew in their DNA all about the solar system. Did you understand that a quantum DNA working at 90% creates a consciousness that is one with the universe? One of the most ancient of spiritual beliefs on the planet asks you to be one with everything. It's not an accident. I'll get to that in a moment. The remnants of Lemuria are gone, covered by water a long time ago. You're not going to have proof of this. Not physically. Only if you go there and you ask what is happening. And the ancestors will come to you and answer and say, welcome home. It is controversial. It is not understood, is not seen. History does not report it. Lemuria existed. Do not place so much attention on Atlantis. Atlantis was much, much later, and there were 3 of them. Which one do you want to talk about? They did not play near the role that those in metaphysics wish to assign upon it. Oh, it was important. One of them was so recent, off the Greek Isles, it's even reported within the history that you see. Humans have a dramatic interest in civilizations that get destroyed. Prompted you to look there, to consider it perhaps one of the first, one of the most advanced. It wasn't, and it wasn't. Lemuria was. Cast your eyes upon that if you want to see. It was not an advanced society. It had no technical abilities at all. And yet, it knew how to heal with magnetics. It was in their DNA. You see, quantum DNA produces information, being one with the universe. They knew all about DNA, doesn't everyone? That's what a quantum DNA does. Right from the Pleiadians. The Lemurians knew much. They knew all about the solar system. They knew about the galaxy in general. They looked at the stars and understood what was there. Now, long after the Lemurians were gone, thousands of years, the ancients still had it. What you call today the beginning of civilization, which you don't even give credibility to, is 30,000 years, 40,000 years. Maybe not even 10. That'll change. You look at those as the ancients, and I tell you, they knew about the stars. They knew about the galactic alignment coming. They knew about what is here. They knew about all of these things. This galactic alignment, which we say here is coming, we teach has already begun. You see it as 2012, we see it as 1998. Do the math, and you will find that you are sitting in the energy of this galactic alignment. A 26,000-year cycle that the ancients knew about. They still had DNA that was working in a quantum way. Without telescopes or computers, they knew. They knew about the solar system and all of these things. And so I ask you now, what happened? And so we reveal that you slid backwards, and you know you did. For free choice is honored. The splitting of Lemuria and the fragmenting of human society creates many ways that you might have said opportunities of losing what was a collective consciousness. And you did. And in this process, the DNA that used to be at a 90% level was reduced slowly back to 30. That's what you have today. And literally you started over. You did not have that quantum feeling, that knowledge, that intuition. You didn't know where your seeds came from. The Pleiadian experience was gone, was lost. Humans didn't understand astronomy. Humans didn't even think the earth was round. It went away. Almost like a reboot, a start over for all of you. And you pulled yourself up to where you are today, and I'm going to tell you what is different today. And with this, we almost are done. The lineage of DNA goes from a precious creation that was appropriate and accurate and true and not conspiratorial. No matter what any will tell you, on purpose, anointed and sacred. To a place today where it is beginning to be seen that way. And in that, the activation of your DNA is that which means you are beginning to increase it in a quantum fashion. There will be pieces and parts of the quantumness which can be activated before the other. You sit in a shift, you sit in an age you call New Age, and it isn't. It is a remembrance of the ancients. It is a return to a Lemurian state. And it's about time. This is what you call the new energy. The shift is upon you, and you begin to work with the DNA like the Lemurians did. Oh, human being, listen to me. This is the crux of why you're here. It is what we teach in this day. That the DNA, that quantum sacred part of you, is laying there ready to be enhanced with intent. And all that I brought in magnetic service to you was to service this planet in a way that the magnetics could then talk to your DNA and return you to a state at which you deserve. The Mayans spoke of it. This is the highest vibration that Gaia has ever seen. You sit in the ramp up of it. Bring human consciousness to match that vibration, and your DNA will start to increase in its efficiency. You're going to start to see it in many ways, and we've spoken of this as well. Go see these channelings where we've told you there are some signs coming to show you that humans are evolving. And that evolvement process, starting with the indigo children, is about how much of the quantum DNA they are using. And the more you use, the less linear you're going to become. The more conceptual you will be. This is what you're doing. Here's something we've not spoken of before. The Lemurians lived a very long time. Self-diagnostics in the DNA created a human cellular structure which actually repaired itself. I'll tell you something that you would never, ever have expected. The Lemurian could grow back a limb. And I'm telling you, there'll come a time when you can too. And it won't be through modern medicine. It's going to be through thought, activation, consciousness. Know this, that you bring back an original energy, slowly, that was designed for today. It is time for you to return to the quantum state, which is the spiritual state. And it starts now. You fight a battle on the earth between old and new energy, and the new energy is winning. Make no mistake that the old energy will be with you for some time. And it's going to create issues with you as you clean up your economy. And you're not done. You will see the ways of a new paradigm of being, of structuring. And it's going to take some time. Do not fear what it will do. For it will emerge just like you knew it would emerge. One of the strongest on earth. Filled with integrity. A new paradigm that makes sense for a new age. Count on that. All part of a human evolvement in consciousness that you can see in your DNA. Kryon, is the scientist going to be able to put this under a microscope and see it? No, because the microscope is 3D. So I say to the scientists this, what I've said before, when you develop the quantum lens, you will see it. For you will actually see the chemistry in the 90% of DNA will glow under the influence of the quantumness. And you will know I'm right. And it will change colors with the activation, and you will be able to see it. But at the moment, you have no quantum lens. There is not any device for measuring the quantumness of the universe that exists on the planet. But you're getting close. When you do, the revelation will be in your biology. These are the things we wish to bring you today. These are the things of the teaching. And all through that, we've been hugging you. Why do we bring these things to you? To tell you, dear human being, that you have come full circle. You wouldn't have missed this. Dear human being, for those, listen to me. I know you. There will be a certain percentage of those in these next years who will come see me. There will be a transition, a life's transition, and when that occurs, know in all appropriateness how beautiful it is. An old soul, it's something you've done so many times you can't even count. And you will come back, and you will come back because you're not going to miss this. This is the shift you have asked for, you've waited for, and you're going to be born with a higher level of DNA efficacy than you'd left with. Watch these children develop even into a more frustrating group than they are now. And some of them will be you when you return. wouldn't say these things unless they were accurate and true. See the clarity of the channel today. Feel in your own innate sense the truth of it all. And be aware that you are dearly loved. It is the reason we are here. We collect the bowls, metaphorically, of the tears we shed as we wash your feet. We invite you in the room now to carry on this energy of spirit. Let it sit with you for a moment before you rise and leave. Let it be known that this day, Spirit really was here to meet the brother and the sister, to wash your feet with our tears, that you would let us do such a thing as this, to be with you for an hour and to love you like we are. And so it is.